Hey everybody, Jay here at Lived and Learned DIY. So today you see this rusty piece of metal behind us. We're going to turn that into a portable welding table. So come on, let's do it. Okay, so what we got here is a 1/2 inch thick plate steel. It's pretty solid and level. It's got some surface rust on it. The only thing I've done up to this point is actually taken a torch and radius these corners, so if you run into it, you know, it's not going to kill you, not going to puncture you anyway. And then I ground it a little bit. And then I've got the legs cut. So I've cut the 4 legs, and then I've got that, and then over here, when I was at Harbor Freight the other day, I purchased 2 of these heavy duty casters. They're the non-swivel casters. You guys will see what I'm thinking about doing with those here in just a few minutes, but first of all, we're going to lay out the leg position on here, because what I want to do is have enough room to sit at a stool on this side or this side where I can do TIG welding. And so I want to put the legs out toward the outside, but closer to the middle from these sides, so I've got more leg room. I don't want to be knocking my knees off every time I'm up under the table. So let's get started with that, and we'll go from there. But it looks pretty good to me. I may take my surface prep tool, this thing right here. I may take that and do what I've done here around the edges, because that's still pretty scaly there. So we'll see. But there you see I've got it kind of pulled out there. Most of the rust gone. So let's keep working on it. Well, as you can see now, that surface prep tool really gets in there, but man, it wears your arms out so quickly. That thing has got so much power that it wears you out. I'm telling you. So I'm going to do the rest of that, make it look, you know, consistent. We want to weld the legs on this side, and then use the other side to weld from, obviously, as my table, if you will. But also too, I'm going to make this to where my vise will mount on and off of it quickly. I've got me some of these blue shop towels, you know what I'm talking about, the paper towels. I got lacquer thinner on this one. I like to clean metal before I start doing any layouts with lacquer thinner. Now, stuff is extremely flammable, so you got to be very careful about open source flame, especially, you know, not too close to when you're going to be welding. But I like to wipe all this down, get any contaminants I can off the surface. You can see, pretty dirty. As you can see, pretty nasty stuff. This metalworking thing is pretty dirty business, so just try to be safe out there, guys. Use some common sense with this stuff. So wipe this down again. See, we're still getting a little bit of stuff off. It's not bad now. We're ready to start doing our layout for our legs. So after some careful consideration, I think what I'm going to do is move the legs in 8 inches from the corners. The more I think about putting it in 16 inches, it's going to make the table very unstable, top heavy. I certainly don't want to do that. So I'll have plenty of room to move my legs inside of here, inside of where my table legs will be out here. So my legs will have all this area to move. I think that'll be fine. I'd rather give up that depth part to have stability. So we're going to work on this. I'm going to grab the welder and bring it over, and I'll get started welding some legs on here, and we'll keep going. Okay, so we're getting ready to weld this leg right here in place. Just a little pointer here, guys. I was a certified welder back in high school shop class. I haven't kept that certification active, but I'll give you a couple tips here real quick. First of all, buy a good helmet, buy good gloves, buy a good jacket. Protect yourself from burns, because man, that's nothing worse than those your elbows, your armpits, down your back, all that stuff. Make sure you get that. But also too, if you carry a smartphone or an Apple Watch, which you probably saw me wearing an Apple Watch a few minutes ago, never ever wear those when welding. No, it's not a ground thing. It's not, oh, it'll burn it up that way. What happens is, if one of these sparks hits that, immediately destroyed. The screen at least, because the glass on those screens is under pressure. It's like under tension. As soon as a hot spark hits that, poof, just ask me how I know this. 2 phone screens, guys, 2 phone screens. But anyway, I take all my stuff off, put it over there, because if I'm welding, I don't want to be distracted anyway. So I'll give you guys one more pro tip here. So when you start welding this, I've got my lines drawn on here. It's all square. I took my square here and checked it. Should still be good. Yep, we're good. Don't perimeter weld this all as soon as you start, because it will draw, because you can only go down one side at a time. If you go down this side, it's going to draw this way. You go down this side, it's going to draw this way, and so forth. Don't do that. Tack it good and heavy at each corner and work your way down each side. That is the best method to keep from warping your part. And also, this tabletop is pretty straight. It's got a little bit of a bow. That's okay for me. I'm not making this into a fixture table. Just understand that. So, to minimize warpage of everything, we're going to do the 4-corner tack and then weld about half, 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 and so on. So that's what we're doing. So just check it out. So now we've got it all tacked at 4 corners, and my square is in there. Everything's nice and square. This way, perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So we're gonna let that cool off for a minute. We're gonna move on to the next one and do that. That's why I tack it lightly. Perfect. Perfect. There we go. So as you can see behind me, there's my welding table, and I'll have to give a big shout out to my buddy Jeremy. He's the one that gave me the inspiration to build this type of table. He has one like this in his garage, and when I visited last summer, I was just like, man, I've got to do this. I've got to get one built. The footprint of his is a little bit smaller, but his is a lot easier to move than mine. Mine is going to have some wheels put on it eventually, and we'll get around to that. So here it is, and I got to show you guys a little pro tip here that will help you out. This is also from my friend Jeremy, so thanks again, Jeremy. Okay, so I've got a piece of 1/2-inch rod behind me. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So if you can see the color difference, this is hot rolled metal bar, and it has what's called mill scale. It's kind of a bluish gray coating, if you will, on the rod or on these tubes right here. You can see it there. You don't want that when you're welding most times, or if you're painting especially, so you want it to look like this. So here's a pro tip for you. This also came from my buddy Jeremy. Jeremy, thanks buddy. So to get this mill scale off of a part, there's about 3 ways he was saying you could do it. One, you can sand it, which takes forever, and he didn't recommend that. You can also sandblast it, which you have to have a sandblaster, especially something this big. This table's like 50 inches by 50 inches. And it's dirty and it's dusty and you have to have a big air compressor, all that. It can be done, but still not the best method. So what Jeremy's solution was to get rid of this mill scale and get it down to bare, shiny, clean metal. Distilled white vinegar. Yep, distilled white vinegar. Same stuff you use for canning, if you guys know anything about canning vegetables and things like that. Distilled white vinegar will eat that stuff off. Trust me. I can tell you how I did it. Okay, so the way I got this stuff, this mill scale off here, was distilled white vinegar. So what I did, I went and got an old towel out of our bathroom and laid across here. It took 2 tries, but I took an old towel and laid on here. Then I poured white distilled vinegar on here and left it for 24 hours. Now what will happen is it will try to dry out. So what I did was, after I put the towel on, I put plastic on top of that to keep it from drying out. So then you can see it's been sanded as well. Now, does it take it all off? There were some areas, because my towel was kind of textured, there are some areas where it did not come off completely. But what I did was take a razor blade scraper, get on that surface, and it popped it right off. What little bit was left popped right off, and then I sanded it just to make it look better. So there you go. That's how you get mill scale off of surfaces that you want to weld or paint or use for welding. So there you go. So like I was saying at the beginning of the video, it's been about 4 hours since I've started the video, actually recording. But anyway, right here's what we got. It is snowing. It's very small snow. We don't have any freezing rain or ice right now, so that's good. I can take snow. But anyway, thanks guys, thanks for watching. All right everyone, so that's a wrap for this video. If you don't care, go down and leave me a like, a comment, even subscribe to the channel and recommend it to your friends. It really helps us out. Thank you guys so much for joining in this time. That's it for Lived and Learned DIY. See you guys next time.